I'm not gonna waste any more time because this guy is the expert. The people speaking on that audio are Chicago activists Paul McKinley, Mark Carter, Joseph Watkins, and Harold Nooney Ward. And with me through a strange turn of events is Paul McKinley. Mr. McKinley, thanks for being with us. How you doing?
How you doing? Thank you for having me on your show.
Hey, listen, powerful message. And every time I play that, I am inundated with people wanting to know where they can get that because they can tell the sincerity in your voice, the struggle in your voice. Am I overstating the obvious?
Well, I like to say that I like your introduction when you were saying that you need the people who are being suffering by this criminality, which is being pushed on us by the Democratic Party, to explain what's happening. No one can explain it better. You know, it's almost like a rape victim, and everybody want to talk about how that person feel and what's going on in that person's mind, but nobody want to let the person talk. And I'm glad that you allow me to be able to expose the fraudulent and the underbelly of the Democratic Party. I really appreciate that.
Well, Mr. McKinley, if you would, let's start with what's in the news, if you don't mind, because everybody is saying that the Democrats, they've got the black vote like they've always had it. You know, that even seems to me to be a bit racist, just to automatically assume you're going to get somebody's vote based on ethnicity, whether you've done anything for them or not.
Well, let me say this to you. Not only do they don't have the black vote in the bag, I watched the whole Democratic convention, and the whole convention was pitched at black folks to get black folks on board with the gay liberal agenda, and it didn't go over well. Did not go over well. And not only did it didn't go over well, they're still pitching that Trump is a bigot, a racist, and all that there. See, the last bastion, the last cover of a scoundrel is to cloth himself in the flag. And if you notice, Hillary is trying, and the Democrats trying to cloth themselves in the flag because they have deserted, well, I'm not going to say desert, they have not did anything for the constituency. Now, I'd like to get directly to what's going on. Since you want to deal with today, I'd like to deal with Black Lives Matter, the Occupy movement, George Soros, and the Pritzes, and the Ford Foundation, who's funding a black left gay organization. That's what it is. And it's not a black organization. It's a black left gay organization. Now, the people that are listening is trying to figure out all these different terms I gave. But from now on, whenever you hear them say that this is Black Lives Matter marching, always be suspicious of that and look at the cameraman, because they'll show you some blacks on the front. But after the black people pass, there's literally hundreds of white folks coming behind them.
Right.
Those are the occupiers. And if this thing has been exposed so much that they have stopped doing marches because they don't want to. But if you go back in the archives and start pulling their protests, you'll start seeing in the listeners, you need to turn down the rhetoric. Don't listen to what they're saying. And just look at the pictures. Blow it up on the internet, because you can look at the big screen. And you will see that it's overwhelmingly white. Now, and then you will start seeing white people carrying Black Lives Matter. White people say, what those are people who are being funded through SEIU and Acorn. Acorn now is Action Now. That's the name of it. Barack Obama gave it a bunch of money when he got in office. They helped him get in office. When they came to Chicago to bust up Trump's election, the people that you've seen jumping up, the few blacks, if you notice, they only showed a few blacks. They didn't show the crowd outside because there wasn't a lot of black people there. There were white folks there. These are white left socialist groups. Road of Freedom, the Socialist Party. These are all white leftist groups who is the media, because the media is the darling of the Democratic Party. They only show what they want to show. So when you're looking at that, you have to understand that this is not a black movement. This is not a black organization. This doesn't have anything to do with black folks. And it is their job was to help to get black folks on board to vote for Hillary Clinton.
I tell you what, Paul, if you would, Paul, for just a second, I've got to step aside. You with me, very, very happy to have with me, Paul McKinley. He's one of the Chicago activists that you hear on that video, Chicago Activist Unchained, which raised a lot of eyebrows because, number one, these are black activists in the trenches doing the work every day, and they don't have a lot of good things to say about Democrats. Mr. McKinley, if I were to ask you, if we were sitting down with a cup of coffee and I were to ask you, what has the black community received for their vote in the last 40 years?
The black community has been let down by the Democratic Party. What the Democratic Party was doing, it was selling the black community on individual achievements. What you seen with Barack running for office was an individual achievement. He made it. What the Democrats have been selling is a blurred or even a sick idea called a individual achievement. Not individualism, not rugged individualism. They're not talking about that. They're talking about, I made mine, so since I made mine, I don't owe nobody else nothing else. I don't have to come back in the neighborhood. I don't have to do nothing for nobody else. I'm free. I'm living in the suburbs. Don't call me. Don't say nothing to me. That's the type, that selfish individualism. So that's what the Democrats have done, have sold to the black community. So they hold up different little people that have made it through their hourglass system where the majority of us doesn't make it. But a very few trickle down. They want to talk about trickle down economics. The Democrats have been running that game all the time in the black neighborhood. But the real point I want to make on the air today is, I don't say anything else, the people need to go to Rebel Pundit. Rebel Pundit has the videos showing you about Black Lives Matter. It's very important that I get this thing out about Black Lives Matter, which is a front group for the liberals, which was being used to attack Barack, which was being used to attack the candidates who were running for Republicans. It wasn't used to be attacking Hillary. It was used to be attack everybody else. Now, and their thing was to help Hillary get in office. Now, what they're trying to do, and they're so-called supposed to be giving them $100 million to get out there and try to beat the Bush in the black community to vote for Hillary. But here's the problem. Here's the major problem. Most of the black seniors are enraged with the president for not dealing with these police shootings that are mainly in a democratic cities. What people are seeing in these cities with these upheavals is because these cities, just like he mentioned about Detroit, they're trying to keep the lid on the cities because of all that pain, suffering, and violence. They're trying to keep a lid on that city by blaming the people who they have starved into submission, but the people refuse to submit. That's what you're seeing going on in these cities with the police shootings and the burnings. It's like a pressure cooker being released. And so the president has not dealt, just like he did not deal with Baton Rouge. He did not deal everything that they accused of the president of not going to down there to New Orleans. The President Barack Obama did the exact same thing and even worse. At least the other president flew over when the dikes. This president didn't even do that. And if you notice, the audience, I want the audience to hear this. If you look, I got family down there. If you notice, every time they show the president, he's always shaking some black folks' hand because black folks are not on board with the Democratic Party. And if this guy who's running for president want to get the grassroots people, he got to come down and meet them, just like he went down there to Baton Rouge and passed out stuff. Trump went down there and passed stuff out to the Baton Rouges. Well, he's got to come back to Chicago. Can't go nowhere else. He got to come back here because this is the capital for the Democratic thought police. It's right here. It's right here in Chicago. And who their brain trust is no other than the University of Chicago. So he needs to come here more than any other city to bust this thing wide open. And if you come here, I'll walk him through the city. I'll let him meet all the grassroots people in Chicago, Milwaukee, Gary, Indiana, St. Louis. But he got to come to Chicago first. He got to come in.
Paul, let me ask you something. Talk with Paul McKinley, one of the Chicago activists on that Rebel Pundit video. And we're going to put that on the podcast so you'll be able to go to Rebel Pundit. You'll be able to pick up the video. I've only got like a minute and a half left before the news break, but let me ask you, Mr. McKinley, you know it's no secret. Historically, blacks vote Democratic, and it's shaping up to be the same way this year. If you could speak to the black community at large, whether it's Dallas, Fort Worth, Chicago, Detroit, wherever it happens to be, what would your message be to the black voters for the 2016 election? What would it be?
Well, watch this. There's already a chant in Chicago against the Democrats. The Democrats are in power. The Democrats have the Justice Department. So with all these shootings, with these police shootings, the Democrats have not, since the Justice Department has done nothing. But in down south, when a governor said that he wasn't going to let no transgender in a girl's bathroom, the Justice Department stepped up and said that they're going, and the federal government said they're going to cut the money off to that governor. Now, what's happening in Chicago, there's already a movement called No Justice, No Vote. We ain't voting at all. We ain't voting for nobody unless they're coming directly to us, directly to the grassroots. If you notice, Hillary keep going to the bougie blacks. She goes to the NWCP. She goes to the Urban League because they'll boo her off the area out of the projects. They'll chase her out of town in the ghettos of Detroit. She's not going there because the people are rebelling and the media is keeping a hush-hush on it. Man, listen, this election can go either way. It really depends on the candidate. It depends on Trump. This election, Trump can win, and the only way he can win it, he's got to come to the grassroots people because a lot of older black men are not voting for Hillary. They're getting on the radio saying it, I'm not voting for Hillary. I don't care what nobody's talking about. We're talking about the older black. We ain't talking about the younger black. We're talking about the older black. So if I had a message to send to black people, our message is simple. No justice, no vote. We ain't voting for y'all, period. You got to come to the grassroots people.
Have been talking with Paul McKinley. Mr. McKinley, I appreciate you joining us on such short notice. Powerful message in that video.